Welcome, scholars, to the final lesson of subunit 6-1. This is 6-1.4, the power of Venice. Today we're going to focus exclusively on Venice and their role in the Silk Road trade and how that becomes important to Europe itself in many, many ways. So let's get into it. Let's begin, though, by looking at the rise of Venice. Venice has got a very interesting story, one that's actually far more interesting than we can get into in this 10-minute lesson. So please, if you're interested at all, check this out because it's cool. But let's just dig in here in brief. Venice begins as a refuge from barbarians during the fall of the Roman Empire. So it's got a long history. So the Roman Empire is collapsing 400-500s CE. People are seeking protection from the barbarians who are just surging out of these mountains into Italy proper. And one of the places that they wind up going is to Venice, this city right here inside of the Venetian lagoon. Now, because it's in a lagoon surrounded by water in such a way, it's well defended. These barbarian armies coming down don't have boats on their backs. So when they see an island, there's only one way to get out there. That's to swim or build boats. Swimmers are not particularly well defended as they are swimming, and building boats, well, that takes a lot of time and effort, and there's easier targets out there, so we'll leave them be. So Venice is well defended. Also, being a member in the lagoon, they're very naturally going to build a lot of boats, which makes them in a pretty good position for trade. And geographically, that trade works out well for them too, being a part of Italy and close to Europe as a whole. Now, safe from this threat, it's going to become a very wealthy city-state. I think I have not played that up enough in my past lessons, and if you think I have, I really haven't. They become filthy, stinking rich. Very much wealth flows through Venice during the Middle Ages. And it's because of these guys, the merchants of Venice. Venice is ruled by its merchant class. So the people whose job it is to make money are also ruling the city, or at least having the only say that really matters in who rules the city. It's run by merchants. It's run by the wealthy for the interests of the wealthy. So we have this city-state, and it's called the Republic of Venice. And I want to take a moment to dig into that term republic. A republic is any nation that is governed by people who are elected to represent them. But the only people in Venice who could elect the leaders were those who were already amongst its wealthiest citizens. So the rulers of Venice represented the wealthiest in Venice. That is how Venice was set up. And when you have the rule being set up by the wealthiest, then you see tremendous wealth. An example of this were the Fourth Crusade. The Fourth Crusade is probably one of the best. This is a purely opportunist money-making expedition by the Venetians. And they're going to redirect the Fourth Crusade, which was supposed to go to Egypt and then work its way up to Jerusalem. They're going to redirect it to Constantinople. They're going to sack that city. The Venetians are going to go home with huge territorial gains. About 3/8 of the Byzantine Empire goes to Venice after this crusade. But they're also going to take home treasure. These 4 bronze horses are just maybe a symbolic example of this. But those were cherished statues in Constantinople itself, and to this day you can find them in the city of Venice. That's their new home. So Venice is doing very well. Let's look, however, at some of the other players in the region. Let's look at Genoa. Their main rival for a long time was the city of Genoa. Once again, we looked at this in the last lesson, but here we have Italy proper, Venice over on the east, and Genoa over on the west. And they're both naval powers. They both have substantial fleets. Both of them are significant in this respect. Now, as they are competing with each other and as they are both significant naval powers, it's natural that they might, fight it out with each other periodically. And that's exactly what they do. They have a lot of wars between the two of them. And these wars are for control of trade routes. Neither of them are interested in conquering the other city and governing it directly. No, it's for trade. And that is what they are fighting about. This conflict with Genoa, however, comes to not an end, but a significant decline in 380 AD. Genoa is no longer a serious challenge to Venice. Venice has won an important war in the Black Sea. It's actually, dive into a side note here as well. It's not necessarily that Venice had a crushing defeat over Genoa. It's that they both nearly bankrupted themselves in this war trying to finance it. Venice just recovered from that economic hit much better and much more quickly than Genoa did. And Genoa had some serious problems after that war because they had spent too much money in fighting Venice. Economics matters. Don't go into frivolous wars. They cost your economy, and if your economy suffers, then people like Russia might sneak up. Oh, wait, no, that's current events. People like Venice might sneak up on you. Be careful. Moving on. So Venice and the Ottomans. Genoa's gone. Ottomans are there. I may have given something of an impression that they had this hunky-dory relationship with each other. Yeah, no, they didn't. Venice and the Ottoman Empire, they were rivals. They fought with each other. They fought 7 significant wars with each other. Look at this Ottoman Empire creeping in. What do you think their next target is going to be? It's going to be Venice. That's the direction they're going, right? The Ottoman Empire is pushing into Europe. They are expanding. There's a lot of reasons for this city-state and this empire to be in conflict. So they do fight. It's just when they're not fighting, they realize that there's money to be made. In between the wars, they traded with each other regularly and profitably. The Venetians actually got better deals than they probably should have out of this trade. But these trade routes between the East and the West, between the Venetians and the Ottomans, were very key to Venetian success. It's just that they were interrupted by warfare, as we have discussed. Silk Road trade always broke down when there was a lot of warfare. When there wasn't, it was a good deal for the Venetians. So, the Venetian and Ottoman trade, that final leg on the Silk Road, again, this big, huge global trading network. When we get right in here, that final leg connecting Europe into the rest of it was important. And it was important not just to the Venetians, but also to the Ottomans. The Venetians, for our story, are going to benefit. Venetian merchants control the government and control their policies, controlled most European trade with Asia, especially after the Genoese back out in the late 1300s. The Venetian merchants are in control of that. They have a trade monopoly. And the merchants are going to be increasing the price of their goods to as high of a price as they possibly can to get anybody to buy it. Remember when we're talking about black pepper and rotten meat, but you need to have protein in your diet, you can really mark those prices up pretty high. And the Venetians, with this monopoly, are of course saying to themselves, yeah, money, because they are filthy, stinking rich. Trade monopolies are great for Venetians. They've got huge profits. And now the next part of the story is tied into what are they going to do with it. Well, the wealth of Venice is going to help spark the Italian Renaissance. It won't hit Venice first, but this wealth is going to be spreading out to other communities because remember, Venice is buying goods from others around them, and Italy as a whole is profiting from the wealth of Venice. And the Italian Renaissance is right around the corner. And we'll have plenty to talk about with the Italian Renaissance in Unit 6-2. That's all for today. I'll see you next time.